we talk all the time, people in the industry know that if you've worked in this business long enough, chances are you have some moment that made it on the air or something you did that really flubbed up or was that embarrassing moment or a blooper. You've been on camera, you've been a producer. Share an embarrassing moment that maybe you had from your past or pawn it off on somebody else, maybe an embarrassing moment that you saw of theirs.
Well, Brian, I love to kind of humiliate myself, and sometimes I've never been one to be humble about just being able to have fun out there. And so there's two stories that come to mind. Well, first off, when I think about when I worked for you up in Seattle, and I was willing to actually dress as a Yankee on the streets of Seattle and run around and stretching and doing stretching as if I was a lost member of the New York Yankee. That was an intentional flub, and I think you and I still laugh about that day. And won me an Emmy because you're willing to humiliate yourself for the sake of comedy and some sort of journalistic effort to show that fans were ready for the Yankees to come to town. But as I mentioned before about opportunities at Missouri to make mistakes, and that certainly happened to me. Every year we get together at Missouri for a party called the May Tape Party, which is just a highlight reel of all the bloopers. And when I was there, one of mine was still a classic, which was the first time I got named to be a full-time weekend anchor was on Super Bowl Sunday. And I was all excited, and I said I didn't even need a producer because I was going to be there early, and I was going to be watching the game, and I knew that I was going to be ready for that. There was a Missouri basketball game going on. If I remember correctly, it was 1996. It was the day that Brett Favre and the Packers beat the Patriots. And I got out there on the set, and I said, all right, big day for Brett Favre and the Packers. Let's go to the highlights. And the producer got in my ear and said, we don't have the tape. And I go, no, we've got the tape. Let's go to the highlights. They got in my ear again. They said, we don't have the tape. And I sat there, and I went to a scoreboard graphic, full-screen graphic with the Super Bowl highlights. So everyone who had wanted to watch local news, which, I guess they were expecting to see highlights of the Super Bowl at 10:20 at night, Midwestern time, they didn't get them. But I kept calling for it after every highlight. I said, okay, let's go on to the Missouri basketball game while we wait for those Super Bowl highlights. And I went to the Missouri basketball highlight, and then I go, and now let's go back to the Super Bowl. And they got me here again and said, we don't have the tape.
So were they pulling a practical joke on you, or did they legitimately not have the tape?
I for some reason, forgot to give them the tape. After all the tapes, I forgot to give them the tape and did not provide the fine people of mid-Missouri their Super Bowl highlights. And to this day, they probably never saw Brett Favre win a Super Bowl against the Patriots. But got a lot of phone calls that night. It just reminds you kind of the attention to detail, and also just be humble when you make a mistake. You got to suck it up, and you got to laugh about it many years later.